Alright guys, welcome back to this channel. And for today's video, we're going to enhance that report that we created earlier. Now, on this next tutorial, we're going to insert a header, a footer, and a total. So let's start. Going back from our earlier demo, let us open first the report. Alright, if you recall, this is the data that we auto generated by our code. Now, on this section here, notice that it auto prints this section here. So, but this one is already supplied by our header, but this thing here in this left portion and this right portion here, the page one, these are auto generated. Now, this only happens if you did not modify your header and of course the other details from here. So automatically it will create this printout on this section here. Now, as you recall also, we also assign a data to auto create this data from this section here. Now, for this demo, we're going to arrange this preview by adding a header, a footer, and also make it more customizable for this section here. So let's start. To begin with, let us create a new file under this report folder. And we're going to name this as demo2.js. Then from our demo one, let's copy everything from this section here and going to paste it here. Then for this function, I'm going to rename this as demo2. Right, so that's it. All right, let us begin by modifying first this section here, which is the page header. So let's start by creating a function. So this function, we're going to assign a variable called, let's say, var header. Now, we're going to assign a function for this one. On the first entry here, I'm going to call this as RPT, which stands for the report. And the next one here is the data. So let's close this up. Okay. So for this information, we're going to modify this header section. So let's type RPT, then change by typing print. Now for the information, I'm going to copy this section. Okay. So also, we're going to add some more properties. Now for the other properties, I'm going to assign the following. So first, going to assign the align, so which is center. And then let's change the font size. Let's say 13. Okay. And the last one, I'm going to set this as font to bold. So let's change that. So I'm going to set that true. Okay, so that's it. So since we already set up our header, we're going to replace or copy this one and replace this section here. Okay, so this time we're going to, as you can see, this section here, we already assigned a new value. Now to run this one, let us head over to our index, it's index.js. Then we're going to replace this one. So instead of demo1, going to replace this as demo2. Same goes to this one and this one as well. Okay, so let's check this now and see how does it works now. So from our browser, okay, so let's reload our page, and there you go. So notice here, we already emphasize or change the header, but there's something missing from this section here. So I want to make another tab. So to do that, let us head over to our code. Okay, so head over to the header function. Then let's add the RPT. So this will be, we're going to assign a new line. So this will tab to the next line. Let's save that. Then from here, let's reload our page. And there you go. So notice here, we have now a very clean header and also with the indentation here or the top new line for this section. So that's it for the header. Next, we're going to customize also our keyboard. Notice here, it was aligned on the left corner. So what we want is we're going to rearrange the position and we need to make sure that this displays on the center. So let's start. Okay, from here, let us create another function. I'm going to call this as detail. Okay, same goes. Going to assign the RPT in the data. Okay, so from here, let us call the function or the properties of the RPT. So we call first the RPT, and this time we're going to modify the band. So this is the section where these details are displayed. So, all right. So from here, let's assign or call the properties data. So for our data, we're going to pass now the data. So this is the data from here. So I'm going to pass that data dot. Okay. So what are the data on this section here? So what we're going to need in this section is this column section here. We're going to call this one. The same goes with the other column. So this one is for category, and this one is for points. All right. So from here, let's modify or add more details for these properties. Now, to assign the additional information, what we're going to do is we're going to call the properties or the property width. Okay. So from here, we're going to assign manually. So let's say we're going to assign that as 150. Then I'm going to align that. So I'm going to align that this one. So same goes to the other column. So it should be aligned. Okay. So to make it simple, let's just copy those information. So same goes with the others. So okay, so this is ready. So I'm going to copy this function. Then notice here. So this should be belong in this section. So let's replace this one. Right. So okay, so let's try this one. So head back to our browser. Oops. Right. So let's head over to our browser. And from here, let us reload this one. And there you go. So notice here, the difference now is that we are missing a border and also still display on this corner here. So to fix this problem, let us head back again to our detail. Okay, so from our detail section, so we're going to add another properties. This is for the entire band. So this represents the entire table. Now, to fix that one, we're going to add a properties or add a property for the border. So this will serve as the line of each column. Then for the position, I'm going to assign as 450. So this serves as the position center. Okay, so that should be it. So let's check that now. Right from here, let us reload our page. And there you go. In addition to this table, I want all the data should be displayed or aligned on the center. So notice here, I just assigned it on the left corner. Now to make it center, so let's head over to our code. Then from here, see this section here, I assign this to 1, so which means this is left. So we're going to move this to center by type 2. All right, so let's check back. Then we're going to reload this section again. And there you go. So, all right, so that's good now. Next, in addition to this one, we're going to create a footer that will display in this section over here. So let's work on that. Let's minimize this. And from here, let's assign a variable. So this time, I'm going to call this as bar footer. Then I'm going to call the function. And for this time, I'm going to only call the RTP. Okay. Now, for our footer to work, I'm going to paste this code line. Okay. So this will serve as the line that serves within the footer. Now, to take effect, we need to add another properties from this section here. So if we have a page header, this time going to call the page footer. Okay. So in here, let us copy this variable and paste it in this section. All right, let's try this one. From our browser, let us reload this page and let's check. And there you go. So this will serve as a line breaker within our footer. Next, in addition to this one, we're going to add a page footer. So typically it will going to display in this section here. So a page footer that represents the number or the current page and of the total number of page. So let's start. Now to display that, we need to modify this section here. So we need to tap this line here and I'm going to paste this code line. Okay. So notice here, this is the properties for adding the page number. So just follow the format. We assign a text with a page, this one of this one. So this will alternately replace the content automatically. Now, for this to be visible, we set up to footer to true. And also we align this to the right corner. So let's save that. Then from here, let us reload this page. And there you go. Next, under footer, we're going to also create or add a printed date in this corner here. So to do that, we need to modify back again, okay, from our footer. So I'm going to paste this code line, right? Just feel free to post this video. As you can see, we printed the text this with this information. So just replace that with this one. Then we're going to save that. Okay. Then let's head back to our browser. And from here, let's reload this page. And there you go. All right. At this point here, we're done in the footer. So let's head back now to our table. All right. Notice our table, it only contains the data. Now, as you recall, this was already only created when we assign that data in this section. So this supplies the information, and that's why we get this information. So added to that, we're going to create a header on top to this one. Now, to customize that, let us head over now to our header detail. So since this is belong in the header section, so we're going to modify that one. So let's start. From here, let us head over to the header or the header section here. So from here, let us create now the table that serves as the header of each column. Now, similar to what we did in the detail, so we're going to create the same way as on the top. So I'm going to copy this one. Now, the difference between this information here and this lower here, we're going to make it static. Now, to do that, I'm going to replace this content. So here, going to replace this as supplier name. This one should be category. This will be points. All right. So basically the same as what we created in here. So the only difference that we're not factoring on the dynamic data. So safe to say we can remove this one to avoid confuse. Okay. So let's check now and see how does it look. So from here, let's reload our page. And there you go. So notice here, we have now our column header. All right. So that's good. Next, in addition to our table, we're going to create a subtotal in this corner here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a text and with the information of the total points that will reflect in this corner. So to do that, let us head back to our code. Now, you might be confused as to where you're going to place that. Much safer, it will be best to update that on the footer section. So make sure you know the order. So take note, that should be before this line here. So we just emphasize or imagine that we're going to put it in between the table and the footer. So for here, we're going to call the RPT band. And then inside the RPT band, we're going to call the total text. And for the pixel, uh, so this will be the width. So let's say going to assign as 350. Now, this next information, we're going to get the data. Okay. So to call the total of the points, point properties, we need to call the property total or totals, and also the column that you're going to compute. So that is the points. So notice here, this is the points that we assign in the detail. So we're going to actually get the total of the points. Now, if we're going to save that, notice what will happen. All right. As you see, the total number as expected did not reflect in this section here. So our target supposedly to take the total number of points for this particular column. Now to fix this one, let us head over to our code and modify more on our section here. Now, if you notice, we took up the totals as a properties to count the points. Now, for this to take effect, let us head over to our report section. Then from here, we're going to add another properties, and that property is called sum. Then inside the sum, we're going to take the column, which is the points. Okay. This is one of the operation since we're calling totals as our properties to sum up the certain column. Now let's check now and see how it goes. Okay, let's refresh this one, and there you go. All right. At this point here, we managed to get the total points. So next, we're going to move these totals next to our total points so that it will be a little bit more pleasant to display this information. So, and to do that, let's head over to our code and we're going to modify these totals. So to add that properties, I'm going to assign a top. So let's say we're going to assign the 2, okay, just for testing. Then let's take a look by refreshing this browser. There you go. Okay, so seems is a little bit far. So we're going to move one more. So from here, let's increase the number. Going to change this to 3. Let's refresh back. Okay, and there you go. Next, before we're going to move this a little bit to the points column, what we're going to do now is we need to realign the entire margin. Because right now, as you can see, we have a big gap on the left corner and a small gap in this right corner. Also, if you notice also our footer, there's a very big gap between this from this line. So we're going to arrange also the margin for this page. So let's proceed to that. All right. To assign that margin, we need to head over to our main code. Then from here, much better we're going to modify that within this report section. So I'm going to make a additional properties. So by typing this comma, then we're going to insert this bracket. And we're going to call these properties margins. Okay, so from the margins, uh, let's define the following. So we have the left, we have top, we have also the right, okay, and the last one we have the bottom. Let's move that a little closer. Okay, now for each section, we're going to set at least 20. So 20 on the left corner, 20 on the top, right should also be 20, and that also same goes with the bottom line or the bottom margin. So let's set that. Okay, so let's check now our PDF. So let's reload this page. Okay, and there you go. So right now we have, okay, so still we have a big section, this section here. So let's check also the bottom. Okay, so that's a little bit less sun. Now, for some reason, it is simply because the position of our table. So we need to modify this table position. So let's try, okay. If you recall, okay, so this is the section that we modified last time. So let's try moving that or add this or changes to, let's say, 60. Okay, so that's more presentable. So now let's modify the header as well here. This is under the header function. Let's change that to 60. All right. So right now we have a equally sided. Now also we're going to move these totals. So to do that, let's minimize our browser. Okay. Now to modify the totals, let's increase this pixelated X here. So let's say I'm going to increase this to 400, 450. Okay. So let's reload this page. Okay. So that seems good. But I want to a little bit lesser. So let's say from here, going to move this 35 align to this 7 column. So let's head back to our code. So maybe I want to change this to 20. Okay, close enough. So I want to move a little bit more. So from 420, going to change this to 430. Okay, perfect. So yeah, so I guess this is good now. Okay, so added to this one, I want to have a tab in between this table and the totals. As you notice, this is almost attaching or almost overlapping this end section here. So I want to tab this one so that it will be a little more presentable. Now, to do that, let's head over to our code. Then it should be modified under or the section footer. Now, to fix that one, I'm going to add a new. properties. So that is the new line. Okay. So this will serve as a top next to the table. So let's see how it goes. And there you go. All right. So that's it, guys. Okay, cool. Now for our final test. Notice here, uh, we'll make sure that this data, once this auto-generated, the totals is keep consisting on this section here. Now, to justify this content, we need to head over to our code and we're going to adding more details. So let's say going to copy this channel here. So then let's add these two. So let's say this is B and yeah, I'm going to make it B or this one. Okay. So for this test, we need to see how does it display once the total rows increase. So that's it now. From here, let us reload our page, and there you go. So good. So whenever there's a new data in our report, the tab section here will be automatically compute, and it maintains the gap between the table and the totals. So that's it, guys. All right. Overall, we managed to create a presentable data report. So if you have some questions, feel free to comment down below. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. And once again, if you found this video informative, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And see you guys on the next video series. Cheers!